by the Talmud Yerushalmi Institute. You can find out more about us on our website. In the meantime, let us begin with Yerushalmi and Brachas, Tav Zayin Amud Beis. Yerushalmi and Brachas, in the Vilna edition, Tav Zayin Amud Beis, where we learn. Rabbi Chanina teaches us. This is in the sixth line down, on, did I say Zayin Amud Beis? I'm sorry, Daled Amud Beis. Daled Amud Beis, page 8. Rabbi Chanina, Ayeles HaShachar, Ad Shi'ura Mizrach. From the time of Ayeles HaShachar, which I'm leaving deliberately untranslated for the moment, until the eastern sky is illuminated, Adam Halich Arba Milin. Person can walk 4 mil, which is approximately the amount of time which a person walks in 72 to 96 minutes, depending on the measure of a meal. I would know that from the time that the eastern sky is illuminated until sunrise, it's an additional 4 mil, arbas mil. It says, Ukmo Shachar Allah. It says, as when the sun rose, it says that then the sun came up and illuminated the earth. So it sounds like there are 2 periods. This is talking about when Lot was fleeing from stone. There's a first period of 4 mil and an additional similar period of 4 mil afterwards. And then the Gemara speaks a couple of lines about that case of Lot fleeing the stone. We'll leave that out. Omar Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Bun. Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Bun said, Hada Ayeles HaShachar. This Ayeles HaShachar. Man Damar Kochvatlahi. There are those who say it's a star of the morning. Sometimes Ayeles HaShachar is translated. That, he says, Ta'usa Taya. So it says it's a mistake. Zimnin Dimakarma, but Zimnin Dimachra. Sometimes it comes earlier and sometimes it comes later. Now he obviously argues with the previous Gemara. The previous Gemara said it's a specific time when the Ayeles HaShachar occurs. This Gemara says it's not a specific time. But this Gemara also tells us that it's not a star. It's something else. The Gemara goes on. Maikadun, what is it? Can mean trained to coordinate the Nahor. It's 2 horns of light. The Nahor of light, the Salkin, Madincha, which come up in the east, Umanaharim, and they illuminate. And now comes a very, very famous Yerushalmi, one of the most famous Yerushalmis of them all. Dilma. Dilma in the Bavli means perhaps. In the Yerushalmi, it means a story. And it could be that, I've actually not looked into it, but it could be that the Greek word dilemma, which describes the scenario, and the word Dilma and the Yerushalmi are somehow related. I'll leave that for other scholars to look into and ascertain. But in any event, it says here, Rabbi Chia Rabba, Rabbi Shimon Chalafta. Rabbi Chia the Great, Rabbi Chia in the Yerushalmi is always called the Great. Rabbi Chia was the greatest student of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, and he's called the Great in order to stress his greatness vis-a-vis the other students of Yehuda Nasi, and his partial Tanaic status. He's part Tana Paramora. Rabbi Shimon Bar Chalafta. These 2 Tanoim, they're walking in the valley of Arbel, on the plain of Arbel. Bikrista, in the early morning. They saw Ayeles HaShachar, that the light came out. It exploded, so to speak. Amar Rabbi Chia Rabba, Rabbi Shimon ben Chalafta. Rabbi Chia Rabba said to Shimon Chalafta, Rebbe is an honorific, my master, my Rebbe. Kachi Gulasan Shel Yisrael. The redemption of Israel is like this. B'tchila kima. Initially, it's a little bit. Kamashioleches, he rabba of aleches. And the more it goes, the greater it goes. In other words, the process of the Geula is a very slow process. My time on. What is the in the Yerushalmi? It says my time in the Bible. It says my time means what's the reason. Yerushalmi usually means what pasuk teaches us this principle. Ki yeshev b'choshech Hashem orli. When I'm sitting in darkness, Hashem becomes a light unto me. Now, the kima kima usually translates as slowly, slowly. But the question is of what kima kima means here is going to depend on how we interpret Ayeles HaShachar. It's important for us to know this. I'm taking the middle of a very large sugya here, very large discussion. That the Yerushalmi is of the takes the opinion that at night the sun goes behind the dome. There's machlekes and psachim in the Bavli, that's Dalet, between 94, if that's A or B. Where at night the sun goes around the earth on the bottom, and the sun goes up and around behind the dome and comes out to the other side and comes back inside the dome again. So the Chachmei Yisrael held that it goes around a dome and comes back to the other side. And the Yerushalmi evidently is that Chachmei Yisrael approach. And therefore, the Yerushalmi speaks at great length here about how the thickness of the dome and how large the dome is, and how the Rakia mentioned in the Chumash is the dome, which was created to distinguish between the higher and lower heavens. So, my theory is that, according to the Yerushalmi here, Ayeles HaShachar is an opening in the dome. There's a hole in the dome, actually two holes in the dome, because it says here that there are trained coordinated in the heart, two rays, two horns of illumination. So there is, the way it works is that the sun at night is traveling from west to east above the dome to rise in the east in the morning. At some point before it starts illuminating, in the sense that we start seeing significant patches of light in the east, there's this moment when we see the two horns piercing through the dome. And it's a sign of the approach of morning. But immediately goes back into darkness. And according to this, when it says, Kaki gulasun sheyisol kima kima, it means it's not in a gradual, ever becoming greater sequence, but it's in spurts. It's a little bit here, a little bit there. There's illumination in the beginning, and then it expands over. Then it comes back to darkness, and then it comes back again, and then it starts becoming larger and larger. And if you take a look at the next line of Yerushalmi, it brings out this point because it brings out from the Megillah, from Esther. It says, initially, Mordechai Yoshev b'Shar Melech. Mordechai sat at the opening of the king's gate, and he was sitting in sackcloth and ashes. And then it said, Haman took the levush and the sus, the garments and the robes of the king and the king's horse. And then he went back to the darkness. He went back to the sackcloth and ashes, which he was before. And then afterwards, then it came back again, and then it didn't stop. Mordechai went out again in the garments of the king, and then afterwards there was the great happiness. So according to this understanding, it's something which comes out of the dome. It's an illumination which comes before the redemption, but then it goes away. And it makes sense, according to this opinion, that it's something which doesn't have a specific time to come. And it could be that there's more than one illumination. It could be that these two horns and rays are not necessarily connected. It could be there are two separate holes in the dome, but there's an illumination within the choshech. According to the first pshat in Yerushalmi, Ayeles HaShachar is a much more defined thing. The question is, how do we define it? We have we have a concept of Amud HaShachar, which is, we understand, dawn, when the eastern sky begins to is illuminated. We have which is sunrise. What comes before dawn? So there was a great Gaon who died died very young, Rabbi Avraham Kaplan, the Tzal, who was the dean of the Hildesheim Seminary in Berlin until he died in 1924 at the age of 34. And he wrote a monumental proposal to write a new commentary on the Talmud. We have the proposal. It's extraordinary. It's brilliant. It's amazing what this person proposed to do and how beautifully he put it together. And one of the things he deals with is how to put together all the information we have on Ayeles HaShachar. Primarily we have it here in Yerushalmi, but there is a Bavli. The Bavli says that there is Ayeles HaShachar. Let me just find the source here. A different screen. It says in the Bavli in Yuma, Chav Ches and Chav Tes, that there is these two Karnei Or, which come out, which are called Ayeles HaShachar. But according to the Bavli, it seems that and according to the first Talmud Yerushalmi, it seems that they are the light of the sun in its gradual process of coming to illuminate the earth. Not that it's a break in the dome, which might happen at a random place, but rather that it is a break, it is a part of the process of gradual illumination. And Rav Avraham Kaplan goes through a lot of the sugyas, and quite brilliantly, as he was a very, very brilliant person. And I can just, if you bear with me for one moment, I'll tell you how he wanted to bring it all together in the end, in a few short words. After his entire discourse takes over several places, he wanted to write in his new commentary on the first Mishnah in Brachos the following. And he has footnotes on this commentary, which is his new Rashi. But the main point was to do footnotes took a long time. But let's just see the text. The first part of Mishnah in Brachos Achiyala Murashachar, that the time of Shema is until Yala Murashachar. So says Rabbi Avraham Kaplan, Chavei or Harishonim, the first lines of light, Sholim Bamizrach, which come up on the east, the Sof Halayla at the end of the night, V'nikroim, which are called Ayeles HaShachar, Hochimu Misrachvim, they go and expand. First there are those pinpoints of light. That's George Bush, I think, said, first President George Bush, 1,000 points of light. So they're pinpoints of light, they're rays of light, but they are separate. Then Hochimu Misrachvim, they go and they expand. La'achar Shah, after an hour approximately, Achnin Kamud Or, and then they're called like a pillar of light. In other words, they're not just individual rays; they make a significant pillar. Shekorim Amud HaShachar, which is called Amud HaShachar. V'hu k'shiur that in itself is about an hour before sunrise. Yeshomrim, and he says some people say Shamud ze nikra b'lashon chachamim, that this amud is called in language of chachamim ha'ir pnei ha'oretz pnei ha'mizrach, because in the Gemara, the Mishnah in Yuma, it says that when they want to start the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash, when they want to start the service in the morning, so the person in charge would ask, "Is the eastern sky illuminated until Chevron?" And that was when they were able to begin doing the avodah. So some say that is not precisely the same thing. Some say Amud HaShachar and Heir Pnei HaMizrach is the same thing. Some say Shanetzacham Ani Kotev. Some people say that actually Heir Pnei HaMizrach means real light of the sun. That means when actually the sun is risen. Yeshomim, and some say Sha'oretz Pnei HaMizrach, that the illumination of the eastern sky, Bein Shnei, it's between the two of them. Amud HaShachar Koidem Lo, Amud HaShachar, which is a pillar, comes before Heir Pnei HaMizrach. V'Netzach HaMuchar Meimeno, and the Netzin and sunrise comes after it. V'chein Ikar. He says this is the primary interpretation, which is obviously a gutsy thing for Rabbi Avraham Kaplan to take responsibility for. If you're going to write that commentary, then that's what you have to do. And according to Yerushalmi, therefore, and about will come out that the two interpretations of Ayeles HaShachar. And one of them really has to do with the piercing of the dome, which is not the one which seems to have halachic implications as part of the process of sunrise. And that is a metaphor, also is a metaphor for Am Yisrael's redemption, not just the final redemption, but any redemption in any person's life or in the life of Klal Yisrael, as light which goes away and then comes back and then grows. But according to the second shot, and that could come anytime. But the second shot, though, it's the beginning of the process when you could see some light shooting out, and then it expands and becomes an amud, and then expands and becomes the entire eastern sky, and then finally the sun rises. So we learned today about Ayeles HaShachar, and we call it the light through the darkness because of the more agadic use, and Yirtzeh Hashem, we should speedily see, we have not yet always seen those pinpoints of light in the process of the Geula Shlema, from Pei Rav Yomeinu